25. Language 1. Dynamic philology has the ultimate goal of bringing the study of language more into line with the exact sciences. To this end, it views speech production as a natural psychological and biological phenomenon to be investigated in the objective spirit of the exact sciences from which its methods have been taken. In short, our method of statistical measurement may well prove itself of considerable service in studying objectively the otherwise highly subjective phenomena of meaning, value, and experience. Naturally, as one takes larger and larger sequences for units, phrases, clauses, sentences, variety increases with a concomitant diminution in the average rate of repetitiveness, to the general effect that an ever larger sample must be taken from the stream of speech before repetitions are sufficiently abundant to justify the application of statistical principles. In studying the dynamics of words, then, we are studying what represents simultaneously either an aggregate of or the component of other speech elements, and are hence incidentally approaching the dynamic problems of these other speech elements at their most accessible side. Probably the most striking feature of words is difference in length. A word may consist of a single phoneme, exemple gratis English A in a book, or it may represent a phoneme sequence of considerable magnitude, exemple gratis English transcendentalism, constitutionality quintessentially. The question naturally arises as to what, if any, is the significance of these observable differences in length. As the palpable fact that some combinations of phonemes are impossible to articulate does not in itself invalidate the a priori statement which has just been made. Dictionary lists are generally inadequate because of their inclusion of obsolescent and obsolete words and because of their exclusion of highly useful neologisms. Shortenings of this sort may be termed abbreviations. These are of two types: 1. Truncations, 2. Substitutions, whether permanent or temporary. A consideration of these two types of abbreviation reveals that they account for practically the entire statistical relationship between magnitude and frequency, and suggest unmistakably that high frequency is the cause of small magnitude. This tendency of decreasing magnitude to result from an increase in relative frequency may be tentatively named the law of abbreviation. To objectify the orderliness of this distribution for the less frequent range, we shall plot upon double logarithmic graph paper the words which occur from 1 to 45 times inclusive for Chinese, which occurs from 1 to 45 times inclusive in English, and from 1 to 45 times inclusive in Platin Latin. The reader is reminded that both the abscissae and the ordinates are on the logarithmic scale. Now the line drawn approximately through the center of the points in each chart represents in each case the formula a times b in second equals k, in which a represents the number of words of A giving occurrence and B the number of occurrences. That is, the product of the number of words of a given occurrence when multiplied by the square of their occurrences remains constant for the great majority of the different words of the vocabulary in use, though not for those of highest frequency. The problem of the relationship of the exponent of B to the total bulk merits extensive statistical investigation for the light it may shed on the psychology of behavior. It is conceivable that an exponent of B, which is larger than the square, may represent the frequency distribution in bulks that may be viewed as incomplete discussions of a topic. Now, when the words of a vocabulary are ranked in the order of frequency, the average wavelengths, the reciprocals of the frequency, are approximately successive multiples of 10. That is, the wavelength of the nth word is 10n. Of course, as one proceeds to the more rarely occurring words in the frequency list, there will be a proportionately greater randomness in the occurrence of a given word, and accordingly a greater variability in the length of the interval between occurrences. Before embarking upon our investigation of the dynamics of phonemes, it is well to anticipate a possible confusion by defining in advance the three different terms which will be employed in the course of our ensuing investigation: the speech symbol, the speech sound, and the phoneme. In elucidating the significant differences between the three terms whose usage must be unambiguous in all discussions of the pertinent phenomena in language, we shall first discuss cursorily the general problems and methods of recording any linguistic phenomena, whether graphically or otherwise. The task of inventing a set of symbols to represent the observable or inferable phenomena of nature confronts every field of science and is comparatively simple. The true problem involved concerns the application of a set of arbitrarily devised symbols to the phenomena of nature, so that the distinctive features may be recorded, transmitted to others, and scrutinized at leisure. The contrivance of a system of symbols to represent linguistic phenomena is aided, though not accomplished, by the use of mechanical apparatus. To objectify this relationship, we might with considerable appropriateness use the target as an analogy, wherever the environmental conditions are correct for the occurrence of a particular variant form. That variant form appears, and from its appearance we may in turn be certain that the prerequisite environmental conditions are present. Until evidence is advanced to the contrary, it appears plausible to believe that the magnitude of complexity of a phoneme bears an inverse, not necessarily proportionate, relationship to its relative frequency of occurrence, a belief which is founded, however, only on the evidence of two types of phonemes, the aspirated and unaspirated voiceless stops. Witness the phenomenon called haplorody, when two similar syllables, they need not be identical, are adjacent. One may become permanently truncated. These abbreviatory phonetic changes, whether complete or partial, may be spontaneous or accentual or assimilatory or dissimilatory, and their effect upon the equilibrium of the entire phonemic system of a language is in each case similar, though perhaps different in degree. That is, the product of magnitude of complexity and relative frequency of occurrence is diminished by any abbreviatory phonetic change. In commencing an analysis of these thresholds, we must remember a very obvious fact. Every language must possess a sufficient variety of discernible different vowels, consonants, and other phonemic units, so that permutations of the same, together with other resources, such as accent, tones, syntax, can adequately express its body of concepts.